All right, we're live, and welcome to another episode of J and J Mondays. Yes, we're still doing this. Josh is here with me. Almost didn't make it. Almost
Yeah,
had
I,
to.
d- I was. My fiance Rev Resner came down, and we saw a movie later in the afternoon. So yeah, Jacker Lee was kind enough to push it way back.
Yeah, that's why we're
And then
seeing me.
still, I was like just arrived home around 9 o'clock.
So you're very fortunate that I picked a spot that actually stays open until 11:30, so we can actually still do a full show
Oh,
without having to worry about. That was good. That's why I keep it between 4:30 and now. I'm going to go right straight to the box office because there's a couple things I want to talk about. Some interesting news at the arenas who does concerts and sporting events is feeling the pain from North Carolina because of the law they passed over there. They're feeling it because more concerts have been canceled, with a lot more to come, and now they're panicking right now because this is nothing they didn't expect to happen. Even though I don't know why, your state passed a law that is discriminatory. There's no ends about it. Um, I'm going to do a separate video, but I want to get your opinion on this because, man, oh man, Sony is messing up.
okay.
You want
What
to talk about
happened?
Sony is that Ghostbusters, man.
I
Is
haven't watched any of the trailers for the movies. I just been hearing different people go, "Oh my God, I've not seen it," or "Give it a chance."
Look, we will talk about that, but the most important thing is we're going to be our main topic is horror films. We're going to talk about all the subgenres and the fusion that led to horror films. I mentioned this before. You have your favorite horror film, which I question whether you call a horror film, Sharknado, but we'll get to
Well,
all that.
it's
We'll,
it's horrible production value.
yes, we will get to that. But first, we have to talk about our feelings towards the box office results. I want to get this to the situation because people. I gotta admit that I'm kind of surprised. I shouldn't be, but I'm so kind of surprised about it. So yeah, it's one of those things that why am I having this? I didn't want that. Hold on a second.
Awesome. I was wondering.
Somehow I'm. Hold on. Let me fix this because they got. Oh, there we go. Put that right there. Okay, now go in there. Let me just click on this. Um, the box office result says the results are in. Many fans are a little bit stunned of what has happened. And
Oh god.
it's just they're not working
What's
out.
going wrong? I know what's going wrong. It's just like I'm giggling too much.
I said share.
You have
Okay.
to. Yeah.
Okay, there it is now. Here's the thing. All right, I'm gonna look at this list, and I'll be very fair with you. I'm not surprised. I'm surprised with one movie that continues to show me something here. This film is still going strong, even though it looks like it's finally tapering down. Start counting the films that came down. This film had a huge drop, but it doesn't matter. It made its money. That is number five, Jungle Book. Jungle Book went from number five, down from number two. Still earned $11 million. Still has $327 million over a $175 million budget. So, congratulations towards the Jungle Book, still going in. Rounding up number four, The Nice Guy. Never heard of this movie.
The Nice Guys. It stars Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling. And
Oh, is that poster?
yeah.
Because I've seen the poster. Oh, that's the movie. Like, Nice Guys.
Yeah, the trailers for it have seemed very funny, so I wouldn't mind seeing it. I don't know about seeing it in theaters, but definitely does look good enough to have a viewing.
Yeah, but it only made 11 million. I don't know how much the budget is. It didn't start as high as they expected. It finished in fourth place. $11 million total. Again, I don't know what the budget is. I'm gonna look it up. I'm pretty sure if they're not gonna give it to me, I'm pretty sure Wikipedia wouldn't be more generous to tell me what their money is. So, a movie that I knew they was promoting heavily in New York. I don't know how it was in your state of Florida, but Neighbors 2, Sorority Rises. It looked like a stupid movie.
I like the first one.
I didn't see the
And so
first
when
one.
they make a sequel to it, I'm like, cool, this seems to be sort of the humor as the first one. So I was like, well, gotta. And plus, me and Revs both admire the actress Chloe Grace Moretz, and she's in the movie. So
Well,
now she's now of age. I believe I think last year or the year before she turned 18. So she's probably, this is a more adult role. I know she did Kick-Ass 1 and 2, but this one seems to be much, much more of adult, potty humor.
if you say so. I mean, I didn't see the first one, so I didn't really care. I was surprised that did that good to do a sequel. So obviously it did. So
it made sequel.
Well, you enjoyed it. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It made 21 million.
I have a hard time with comedies, so if I find a comedy I like, I don't really question it. I just go, hey, something makes me laugh.
I guess I have to check out Neighbors to fully understand it. But Neighbors 2 made 21 million. Again, they're not showing the budget of this movie, which always concern me when they do that. But it can be that expensive. But it is a $21 million budget. Not bad for its first week at the box office. But it didn't beat out this movie. And I'm kind of surprised it actually did well. But then again, who am I to say? First off, number 2, Captain America: Civil War. It finally dropped down from its first place range. Still made $33 million. It still has a $347 million budget. To budget a gross so far of a $250 million budget in its 3 weeks. They don't have to worry about it. They're doing very good. They're happy. They're dancing. Hooray for Captain America!
That's and now we got the second time tonight. So.
Now we're gonna talk about that in our next video. Believe me, we will. I haven't seen the film yet, so I can't really talk about it yet.
Oh, God, I was about to say some spoilers, so thank you for saying that.
So we will talk about it. I'll let you know.
This might have been an Easter egg hinting at this or that, and I'm glad you said I haven't seen it, so I was like...
No, that's why I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it yet. Been dealing with a lot of issues at home, so it kept me at bay. Plus, I got other films to catch up on. But I am going to see the film. Don't worry about that. But there's some film that I'm now... because I didn't think it was this good. It still has some ways to go in terms of budget, but they do look like it's going to make it. If depending on its second week, Angry Birds actually just beat out Captain America. And keep in mind these numbers can change around 12 o'clock, so it could be these numbers could be 39, but it can also Captain America actually can jump over the next few hours. So this is the reports now. And according to the reports, Angry Bird made number 1. It grossed 39 million even. Nothing. That's pretty much the number right now. It is playing 3,900 theaters. The budget of this movie is 73 million. So that's impressive. They do have an opportunity to make their money back. I didn't think this was going to be a hit. I thought it was going to be pretty much one of those, just make its budget or a bomb, just by the name alone. I didn't see the appeal of this movie. The trailer didn't impress me. I just didn't see the appeal. What about you?
I knew about this movie maybe a year or so before the first trailer came into being. I was just like, when I heard the announcement, I was like, maybe they'll just stop doing it for whatever reason because this is a fucking stupid idea. And then when the trailers started to come out, I'm like, oh fuck, they're actually doing this piece of shit.
Well, it did better than Crank and whatever that other movie, Ratchet and Crank did. Ratchet and Crank. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been out. It's been out a good minute, and Rancho Trade ain't done much. 4 weeks, 8 million, made only $200,000 this week. Focus, is it me? But Focus is not a good studio when it pumps out movies. What do you mean? Shh.
Oh, shoot.
They've been coming out with some movies that doesn't do well. All right, so wondering what's the other one? What's the other film that round of the 10? Well, we have Money Monster on this third week. It just made its budget. It made $7 million this week. That is pretty much all they need to make back their money. Keep in mind they made that back their money. If the movie got pulled now, the total profit they would have made will be only $103,000. So it is underperforming. They did broke even, but that's basically it. So they probably will make. They probably could have opportunity to run away with probably no more than $30 million of a movie. Look, I don't think anybody really cared about the movie. I think they saw it because, again, there was really nothing else out there right now. And if you take a look at the movie lineup, it's really not much excitement going on. A lot of the other films that people want to see later months, we got Jason Bourne, we have Star Trek, we have a lot of other films that are coming out that many people are just interested in. And these films, because Captain America's already out, a lot of people have seen that. Obviously, people's going to see it.
I'm just always excited when I can see a good movie more than once in theaters. Always makes me so happy.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw once in 2D and once in 3D, so I got the comparisons.
Well, I spend more money on 3D. I don't know, but that's you.
I don't know. I personally, a movie like Civil War, it doesn't really need to be 3D to enjoy. So,
none of the films that they come out in 3D don't need to be in 3D to enjoy.
Well, Gravity. My only really one big exception is Gravity, because I haven't seen it in since it came out on DVD or Blu-ray, and I'm honestly sort of scared because one of the great things about that was the 3D, and I usually never say that because I'm very critical with 3D, extremely.
And I can tell you why. Certain films are made with 3D in mind. That was made in 3D in mind. Some films are not. Some films don't blend well with 3D. And some films they just put a little bit of 3D and the rest is 2D. Just put on glasses. Makes no sense to me.
Money.
Yeah. Well, it's phasing out, so I'm happy. Number 7, The Darkness. This was number 4. It dropped down 3 paces down. It made $2 million. I don't know the budget on this again, but it made $8.4 million. I have not seen the movie. I thought you was gonna see the film, honestly, but
I wanted to see the movie. I really do, but the thing is, I can't always see every movie I want to see in theaters. Sadly,
you saw Captain America twice. You could, if you really wanted to see it, you would have seen it.
No,
but you saw
seeing things twice is sort of an oddity, really. And it stems from the fact that I'll see it with my dad once, and then Revs hasn't seen it, so I'll see it with him.
Oh, so all the family.
I'm using guys to see movies.
Let's round up the other films. Zootopia, of course, made another $1 million. They're fine. The biggest, I will have to say now officially, the biggest bomb of the year, at least right now, is the Hunchman. Went to war. Nobody wanted to see this film. This film made $46 million. It only made $1 million this week. It's a $115 million budget. It is considered the biggest bomb of the year so far. Mother's Day, Barbershop, The Middle, The Boss, Love and Friendship, and everything else. Keanu had a huge drop. The 16th. It still made its money back, but it's still an underperforming film, and so on and so on. Again, another film that didn't do well, Ratchet and Clank. Again, a movie that we promoted in my town, but Then again, I kind of wonder if that's a bad thing or not. So there's your box office. I can move on. I let's turn this off, and where do I start? There we go.
I
And
don't
now
know.
I'm back.
Where did it go?
Mhm. Now I'm back. Yeah, so that's the box office. Again, a little bit surprised that Angry Bird did good. I thought Captain America was going to hang in there one more week, but obviously, um, that's not the case. They made it 39 million. The problem with Angry Birds, though, I will say this: X-Men is going to be in first place next week. Apocalypse is going to take over that spot.
Yeah, it's X-Men.
So that's how I see it. I am kind of surprised. This is why I can't stand people seeing movies so early. People saw this film a month in advance, and it's gotten mixed to negative reviews. So I'm like, it's a trilogy. The third film never always be the best film. It always seems to be that one that's in the middle. And it does sound like that's the same problem with this one. So I'm kind of worried about that. Let me see two comic book movies in one. So I'm like, please be good.
It's like a please, please.
All right, so I'm gonna talk about the Ghostbusters, and then why we ain't gonna do a video of the week, so because we all running pressed for time. But let's get to our main subject: horror films. Uh, Let me just fix my head because my head looks like it's half empty. It ain't
You have a great head.
not what it's cut off from here. Um,
Better.
we're seeing a trend, and we see with most of the films. Some trends have become pretty much a dying fad, where it does show up, but not as much as it used to. Like the '60s and '50s were pretty much westerns. We had a time where haunted mansions was a big thing, and horror was actually really was a thing. We had slasher films, which actually became the new horror films, and now we're seeing a reverse of these horror films where we are seeing not much of the hardcore horror films that are rated R, or even the slasher films that normally is promoted. We're seeing soft horror, the PG-13 horror. And then we have horror that will generally be considered a slasher horror, become sci-fi. And it's not some coincidence. The Sci-Fi Channel, or whatever the hell they want to call themselves these days.
They might have changed it back to sci-fi, but I'm just gonna call them Siffy.
I don't know what they call it. I'll look at them. I'll look them up. But either way, we're seeing this. It's not a coincidence. When I last checked on Sci-Fi Channel, I was watching the typical shows like Stargate SG-1. That's a science fiction show. You expect to see it. Star Trek, um, um, Star Trek Enterprise, the least popular one. That's a sci-fi show. You expect that. Hell, Heroes. I can completely understand why Heroes on sci-fi. Um, it's a sci-fi show, even though it's a comic book style show. It's still sci-fi. Just how Smallville is actually, believe it or not, is considered sci-fi. It was on for a brief time. But here's the thing: I don't expect to see a movie entitled Jason X or anything that's Freddy versus Jason or Friday the 13th in because what's so scientific about a man hatching people to death?
Well, I believe one of the reasons they changed their name to Siffy was to help to show that they were doing more than just sci-fi on the channel.
You're always going to be doing sci-fi. You're always going to be sci-fi. You're always going to be sci-fi. But that's not the thing, though. I'm seeing a trend now, more and more. And I'm like, Sharknado, that's your movie. You enjoy it. You love it. I don't care if it's how bad or how cheesy it is. That's your movie. Enjoy it.
I want it to be cheesy as hell. If it's not cheesy as hell, it's like, what's the point?
However, I have a problem when I see the category and it says horror in there. I mean, really? This is considered horror now?
Well, the thing with horror is that it's sort of like sci-fi in that it's very malleable. It's like there's horror comedies, there, and I'm going to just briefly talk about science fiction because that's my big genre. Science fiction can be classified into hard science fiction, like Michael Crichton books. It can be turned into science fiction fantasy, like Star Wars. And then there's like this little range of sci-fi that, you know, people can argue for days about whether it's actually sci-fi or not. It's like horror. You go into a genre like horror or sci-fi and you can see them mix and match with a shitload of other genres. It's extremely huge. We can't hear you.
There we go. Okay, now where was I? All right, here's the thing. I can understand standard horror. I can understand standard sci-fi. It's not hard to know what science fiction stories are. You pretty much know it. There's always some kind of scientific thing is. I can somewhat understand why fantasy is part of that sci-fi world because they actually had
mix and match into it. It's not part of it. They're two different ones that, you know, fuck everything.
They're hybrid. It's hybrid. But the thing I have a problem with, and look, I gave a pass to Jason X. I gave a pass to it because I said, okay, technically they're in space. You know, they're doing a Leprechaun movie now. Only Jason is not a Leprechaun and he's in space. I'm not feeling. It's almost like they're trying. It's almost like, here's the thing. Sci-fi had a very serious up and down streak over the years. Sci-fi was on the verge of extinction until Star Wars came along and really brought new life to the sci-fi genre. Star Trek actually also took it further. And I'm not saying that science fiction has a reputation for being bad, but I felt like Hollywood, especially with horror, has looked at these two genres and really don't take it seriously or just consider it as a cheap way to make a quick buck without giving it any real thought, actually giving it an actual real story, treatment, or treating it with the kind of respect I think many sci-fi fans deserve. The one true film that, and you can make an argument that this is not truly a sci-fi film, but more of a political film, and I am going to talk about this in this flashback review premiere, is The Day the Earth Stood Still. And I'm not talking about the Keanu Reeves version. I'm talking about...
You do realize that science fiction can be used to highlight the political minefield of whatever age it's written in. It, you know, can highlight the hopes and fears of a generation.
Okay.
That because when they, you know, go far into the future, it could be the hopes and fears of, you know, what the common people think during that time. And that's what makes their science fiction interesting for that specific category.
Here's the thing. Does horror and sci-fi need each other to stay relevant now? Can one survive just straight out of... Because here's the thing.
Well, we don't need to have chocolate cake, but having chocolate cake is very nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
That makes no sense. Is
something needed, or do you enjoy something? They're two different things. Like I would enjoy sci-fi and horror mixing, but no changes happens.
I'll throw 5 movies here, and you tell me straight up the bat what genre would you classify it, and you can actually put it as a mixed genre or hybrid genre, and I'm gonna tell you exactly what they got this as. All right, here we go. Psycho. Albert Hitchcock. Suspense.
This is really funny. I heard Eli Roth complaining about how Psycho is classified, and I had to look up the classification myself, and I want to. It's horror. Is it? Yeah, you could say it's horror / suspense or psychological horror. But
here's
it's
what
a
they got.
fucking horror movie.
And yet, if you look at the genre itself, and I kid you not, I went to the category of Cycle 2, 3, 4 is in horror. 1 is not. 1 is actually categorized as suspense. And after seeing that film, I can actually understand why. Perfect example.
The horror can be mixed with shit. But I classify Psycho as my favorite horror movie. Because, it's extremely atmospheric, and that's why I really enjoy it, because it's all about the atmosphere and the characters, and the fact that it's happening in the real world makes it even more scary.
And
Because, you never know when you're going to go to a place and someone kills you.
And that's why Psycho is considered to be a suspense mystery
It's a horror
movie.
/ suspense, you goddamn fuckface. Sorry. I'm talking to the people that are classifying this, not to you. I want to clarify that to everyone listening.
But here's the thing. Many people, for a while, I mean, Psycho, the name alone sounds horror. But here's the reason why it's not considered, because everything you just said right there. Now, here's the thing.
They didn't make you piss your fucking pants. If you said yes, it's a fucking horror film. Sorry. I'll let you speak. Sorry.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Horror / and if you want to even break it down, it'd be a slasher film, a horror slasher film. It's because slasher films are part of the horror genre. They're a little subgenre of the horror genre.
Well,
it's like a little family tree.
Here's what it was actually classified.
And you could also classify not just as a horror slasher, but also fantasy, because there's fantasy elements in it.
Well, here's what they classified it as when the time of release: teen slasher.
Well, at least they got the slasher part right.
Kind of and
funny. If it's a part of the horror genre, I'll take that.
Mm-hmm.
And that is because it also involves teens, so teens get it. Yeah, even more subcategory. So.
Ben Stoker's Dracula. Horror suspense.
Okay, at least they had a slash suspense in there. Okay.
All right. Where do you think Sharknado was classified originally?
Horror / comedy, or it could be comedy. It could also. It doesn't really have any sci-fi elements, so.
Well, we got.
Well, wait. Let me take that back. They do try to every now and again try to scientifically explain it, like they slap that on into the first 3 movies. So there's a little case for a little bit of science fiction there.
Well, you'll be surprised. You got the comedy part right. And that's it.
Well, what's the rest? Is it just comedy?
It had originally done as comedy.
No, well, that does work. I just can be very exact and sort of anal about my classification of things.
All right. Gonna keep it going. This should be simple for you. Hostile.
Hostile? You mean Eli Roth?
I didn't care about the acting in the movie.
No, I'm just saying I can't really understand. Is it like hostile or hostile?
Hostile.
Okay, that's what I was trying to clarify. And I was naming the director just so that'd be horror.
Hard slasher.
Yeah, I was thinking about saying the slasher part, but I just held back.
All right. And there's going to be a big difference here. We're going to keep going. How would you classify Rear Window?
Rear Window. Okay.
Albert Hitchcock's Rear Window.
/ suspense, but let me guess, it'll be classified as suspense. Or psychological thriller?
You got that part, but it's mostly horror.
Yeah,
which is kind of funny. Which is kind of funny because I'm like, wait, that one had less horror elements into it, but that one got it.
Yeah,
versus Psycho.
Now you see why I'm angry.
Now, how will you look at the Rocky Horror Picture Show?
WTF? Is that classification? It'd be first off horror comedy musical. Definitely the musical part.
Got the musical part right. It is considered actually a comedy.
I said comedy too.
So, but it's not. It's been a while, but it is now considered horror. But it was not that first time. It was musical comedy. They didn't really blend music comedy with nothing else at the time. So keep that in mind. Return of the Living Dead. What genre you think that is?
Night of the Living Dead? Horror.
Punk teen horror.
At least they got the horror.
Now, why do you think they call it punk? And keep in mind, is that genre punk?
I'm not really familiar with punk, but I know it. I know it was a genre of music, and that's basically it.
Well, you got the music part, right? But also the dress code.
Oh yeah, goddamn, yeah, the dress code.
Now you see where I'm talking about. See how horror can often get lost, and how film that originally was supposed to be straight horror don't really get that name. They get something else. Like for instance, Gremlins was considered to be a Christmas movie.
It wasn't. It took place during Christmas, so.
But how much horror is that?
Therefore, Gremlins is a Christmas movie. Ta-da!
But here the thing is, how much horror was in Gremlins?
I've only seen, I think, the majority of the movie once. There was horror elements there. You had this one, these little creature thingies. They tried to kill, and they were, going on a little rampage. So
now, here's the main thing about this. Let's look at the definition of horror itself. What is the dang definition of that? I'm gonna leave it to you to explain because you're better at Wikipedia than I am, or you got a dictionary nearby. I'm in the cafe.
I'm an English major. You're talking. I'm analyzing something. I'm not gonna fucking look it up. I'm gonna try to think of it myself.
I'll put it this way. I'm just giving you the form on it. Anything that has a shocking value to it. Anything that will bring something where
you don't know what's fear. Something that evokes fear.
What's it? Horror is something that pretty much says it all. Freddy Krueger, Nightmare on Elm Street, what he does is considered horror. It's a shock. It's a shock to the mind. It is something that is like, oh my god. It's designed supposed to frighten you, to shock you, to send shivers down your spine. Suspense, however, is a little different. What's the difference between suspense and horror?
You're suspended over something? It's based.
The reason why, and this is actually something that I still debate, and even you debate, and I can't really blame you. The reason why Psycho is not considered a horror because Psycho, and this is more because of Albert Hitchcock style. Psycho is more of a whodunit. You don't know what's going on. It keeps you guessing what's going on until the very. It is a mystery.
Yeah,
here's the thing: is when you first see, there are actually 3 layers to Psycho. And it's not first of all, it doesn't even follow the book. If you read the book, it's actually boring, and it's like, well, Albert Hitchcock did the right thing and go in a different direction. But here's the reason why it's considered to be more about suspense and horror. He has to have horror elements in it, but not enough to justify it as a standard horror film. There's 3 layers. You have the main character who is having an affair with this guy, who is still legally married, and to order to help him, she ended up stealing money from his job. Right, so we got that element going on. We're following her. Right, then she gets off the road after a bad storm. She goes to the Bates Motel, and we're starting to see the relationship between her and Norman Bates. Already, you sense that something is wrong. You don't know what it is. You don't know. You don't have an idea what this person is going through. But you sense that there's something wrong, and it's best for the lead. Now, one of the brilliance of, and even you have to admit, one of the brilliance of what Albert Hitchcock has done is he gave you an illusion that we're going to follow one character through this dark journey.
I'm just going to stop you there because I already, sort of knew that she was going to just go away. So unfortunately, I didn't get the original shock value of, the people who saw the movie for the first time. That would be what you said. Think you're following one person, she just dies, and you're like,
No, now what? It leaves you wondering what's going on. And here's the thing about it is that if you are a person at that time frame, he never hinted. I mean, he gave you spoilers without actually giving you spoilers. That was the brilliant thing about it. And I think the Nostalgia Critic had brought up about the trailer, which is actually you can actually watch on YouTube, about how he was actually promoting this film, but he wasn't really giving you what this film was all about. The poster, the original movie poster, never gave you hints of what was going to happen in that second act. So when she died,
you paused. Joker.
So it's like, what just happened? You don't know what you see Norman, but you don't see the mother, and you're like wondering just how messed up this mother is, because all this time you're like, oh, it's the mother. This mother's crazy. And Norman got to talk to somebody. And then when it really came to hit you that it was Norman the whole time, it's like, okay, we just got messed up here. So in many ways, the way it was structured, yes, that is a well-written mystery suspense film. Because here's the thing is,
it's horror. There are people dying. You could also say slasher because people got stabby.
Okay, listen. Here's the thing. How many death scenes was? I can tell you right now. How many death scenes was in Psycho?
Enough.
2. 2 death scenes in the whole entire movie. 2 death scenes in the whole movie.
Including one of the most iconic slasher kills of stabby in the shower.
That's it. 2 death scenes. You see 2 deaths in the film. The shower scene was done by a special effect of a watermelon. It was a good scene. It was the most shocking scene in the whole entire film. Nobody ever seen that before. It really stunned a lot of people's minds. But again, out of all the deaths, it was 2 death scenes. And despite all that, it wasn't that graphic in terms of you didn't see blood all over the place, or you didn't see it all cut up. It was done very, very well. And then the second time when he killed the detective, it didn't linger on that. It just, he killed him, and it went to, or it cut the black, and next thing you know, he's disposing the evidence. But the point was, it was more about the suspense, what's going on, this mystery of Norman Mace. Who is this person?
And the wondering, lingering feeling, who's going to die next? His pants. You cannot tell. Okay, I watched this film for the first time. Then it was a school night, so I had to take a shower. That was the scariest fucking shower I have ever taken. It is a goddamn horror film. It made me afraid of a goddamn shower. Okay, horror. It just made me like, oh god, it was hard getting to sleep that night. Probably because I took a shower afterwards, which is not smart to do.
Like I said, to me, it was more the way it was structured. It was more bent on suspense than on horror. But that's the whole thing. I mean,
I would say it's very good on atmosphere. It's very good on building up the atmosphere of it, which is why I enjoy it so much, because it's more about the feeling of being afraid, feeling of being uncertain than, just gore everywhere. I like gore, but at the same time, the horror films I usually enjoy are all about just actually feeling afraid. And Psycho really did that.
I mean, you see my feeling on it. I can see Psycho being the more suspense side. You can see it being on the more horror side. But again, it brings a definition of what's classified as horror. You bring up a good definition. I don't want to argue about it because I think it's a great definition. But yet we don't see. Let me just plug this baby back on because I'm not going to lose my battery power. I can see why many people who is big hardcore fans of horror, is concerned about that because they're saying that horror is a dying trend. It's no longer horror anymore. And I kind of, depending on where you at, I can kind of agree, but I also disagree because they're still making horror, but they're toning down the graphic, the image of what many people consider horror. In other words, is do you consider The Grudge a horror film?
Yes. Mind you, I don't consider it a good film, but I would still classify it as a horror film.
And why is it a horror film?
It scared me
In your
the
opinion?
first time. I couldn't like watch all of it the first time. Like the first time I watched, I had to stop and leave the room. And then I watched it again during the day, and me and my half sister just slept in bed together for the next like 3 nights. I finally got sort of over my fear of it, so it's good now. You know.
And you see, this is the point. I mean, yes, there are many films, and this is the reason why a lot of people are a little upset by seeing these what they call soft horrors, horror with no real image effect. Which I disagree because there are some films that I consider a bit horror. Um, I also see some films that scared me, but it was on the suspense side. I think the word horror is the impact, the shocking impact one has. Like for instance, if you see something, you saw Psycho, you saw what it affected you. I don't know how long it affected you. Not going to
Well, I saw it back when I was a teenager. I'm 29 years old now, and I actually haven't seen the entire film. But god damn it, I've seen like shortly before the shower scene when she was talking to Norman. And yeah, that I can still sort of go back to the shower I took after seeing the movie, and it's clear, one of my clearest, oldest memories.
Like I said, there are two films in my childhood that affected me so greatly. One to this day, I affect me to the point where I can't sleep straight up anymore. I'll explain that in a minute.
Oh god.
Uh, one of them was Prom Night, and I didn't even like the film, but it was one.
Yeah, that's the worst horror films. The films that scare you, but you're like, it's such a shitty movie. I shouldn't be giving it this compliment.
No, but here the thing is, picture this being a kid and you watching this scene about a kid teasing another kid, and she's backing up and she accidentally fell out the window, and she falls to death, and then it cuts automatically to the time of them growing up and graduation, and you've seen, but you still got that back of mind is this kid just fell to. I just saw a kid just fell to a death in a horrific way. And Carrie.
Oh, yeah, I was really hoping, once you brought up Prom Night, I'm just thinking of Carrie, because you're like, oh, imagine teasing and prom, and like, Carrie. So,
Yeah, Carrie messed me up. See, Prom Night messed me up in terms that was the first time I seen a kid die and scream. Carrie messed me up because number one, the way Carrie died, which made me, because normally when people sleep, they like to sleep, they sleep, upright, head facing the ceiling. No, I can't do that no more.
Okay, just making sure you're talking about the original Carrie film. Yeah, okay, because the book it's different, and the
I read the
Chloe Grace Moretz it's different. So I'm like trying to figure. I got
They made so many versions of it. I'm sticking with the one that scarred me for life. And the one scene that I can never get out of my head, and after then, because of that one scene, I refuse to watch the movie.
What scene?
The ending scene. Lady comes to the gravesite of Carrie.
Oh yeah. I was wondering like how far at the end you were going, like if you were doing the end, or near the end.
And she put the flower, and that hand came out like, ah! God.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing at your pain.
And I had jump scares or reaction scares, like Spoon like to call it, with films like that before. but that one scarred me. That one got to me. I'm like, oh. I said, yeah, I can't watch that film no more. I couldn't watch the film. I never watched that film again. Never watched that film. And I saw that film out a couple of times. That film came on TV so many times. They just like it was like a big thing because back then TV made their business to show you horror films at nights or certain times, and that was the one film that scarred me. Even though Jason came very close, I mean, the scene when you're watching, I'm sitting there watching this whole horror film, and you think the film ended, and you see this body just came out of the water and grabbed him, like, oh, that is frozen.
The first Friday the 13th?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was scary. I said, okay, that's, if anything, they get that, because that scared the daylight out of me. Like, because here's the thing, is one thing if you see it, but it's another thing when you've seen it up close to the television set. You're staring right at it.
Oh, God.
But that hand scene, two things that did. I said, I cannot, that made me afraid to go near a tombstone for a while. I'm like, yeah, it's the hand coming out, right? And two, how Carrie died, me to end. And the reason why I stayed away from it because my mom's house is old. It's an old Victorian house built in the late 1800s, 1900s, early 1900s, and they had these porcelain statues on the ceiling. I don't know why they were there, but I never forget it. So you imagine me, and they was like sleeping. They had the look of a sleeping woman, just staring right down at you while you sleep. So that was an image of Carrie. So you add that with the hand, with a death scene. I said, all right, I'm gonna sleep with my head facing the left or the right. I'm not sleeping pointing up, and I have never slept that way since.
Oh, God.
So yeah, that's horror to me. When a film gives you a certain reaction to the point where you either can't watch or it's going to bother you. Same thing with Nightmare on Elm Street. To me, it's horror. It's slasher, but it's horror because I don't care what anybody said. When you saw coming out the tub, about to slice Nancy, you looked away. Your first reaction was to look away. I can't watch this, and he did it so good, so dispenseful. It's like, ugh.
I'm just going to bring up the remake for a second. I haven't seen all the remake, but okay, hang on, I got the actor's name somewhere. Hang on, I think I did. Don't, I'm sorry for, there's a horror film there. That's a horror film.
What are you looking for?
Because he played in Watchmen, and I thought I still had that Blu-ray here. I don't. It was the new guy they had for Freddy. I like the actor. Oh,
Jackie Earle Haley.
Yeah, I was thinking of doing it cleverly on my own, holding up the Watchmen and going thing. But, this is life, folks. But yeah, I just love his presence on screen as, just the presence he exudes. That he was the only reason I, really cared for a sequel for it.
Yes, it was a remake. Jackie Earle Haley, which I haven't seen him in any movies lately, even though I haven't been following his career.
Yeah, I'm going to double check something. You keep on talking. I think I might.
Why not? You don't need to look at the Watchmen. I mean, we know what the Watchmen is. I think everybody.
I know. I'm just. I'm trying to see if he's in this upcoming show.
What upcoming show is this?
I'm double checking so I don't embarrass myself. So talk about something.
Well, like I said, I mean, to me, horror, I think it's a broad word of horror. But I think the problem is that a lot of the people who is diehard of slash films.
He wasn't in the show I was thinking of, but he is going to be in the Dark Tower movie.
Oh, that's good. So he actually is got something.
He is in the TV series I was thinking of.
What's that?
character on AM that's going to be premiering on AMC. He's going to be playing Odin. I can't pronounce the last name.
As long as it's good, he's in a good network. Because God knows Fox is messed up. Oh, and by the way, your show got canceled.
Agent Carter?
No.
Which
It's-
one?
Rush Hour.
I was not going to watch that one.
Oh well. Don't get too happy then, because guess what's coming on? What's coming on soon?
What?
Lethal Weapon
I don't care.
and The Exorcist
As a TV show?
as a TV show. And guess what network's taking it?
Just tell me. I'm going to hit something anyways.
The Inpatient Network of Fox.
I actually need this. I don't want to actually. The thing is, if I, throw something for comedic effect, Dad might come in, and because sometimes I do throw things or accidentally drop things for non-comedic effect. So yeah.
I seen the trailer for Lethal Weapon. I'm actually even saw the trailer for The Exorcist. I'm more curious about The Exorcist than I am with Lethal Weapon. And since we're on a horror series, I don't think The Exorcist will make a good TV series. But then again, I didn't think Friday the 13th series was going to be a series, and that lasted 5 seasons. So,
What? That lasted 5 seasons? I knew it was a series. I didn't know how long it went on.
yeah, 5 seasons.
Shit.
I love Friday the 13th series. I was like, oh, it had nothing to do with Jason, but they did it.
And in all reality, you say not anything to do with Jason. And the thing was, originally Friday the 13th, Jason was just sort of there for the plot, to move the plot along. And then once, it made the first movie made money, they're like, oh my God, we need to, make a sequel. And then they put Jason more into the spotlight.
Yes, he was. But here's the thing about, again, going back to what I'm saying about this is that horror, a lot of people are saying, because I don't believe horror is dying. I just think it's being fused, and I think that it's now becoming more of a broad word. It's not
hardly horrors like the which I will just classify as atmospheric horror, more about the atmosphere, the tension, and they do come out, but they're not in great amount as we want. The Babadook is actually pretty decent. Like I was listening to someone that was saying,
what? Wait. Bring that back.
If you don't really like the,
throw that back to me again. The Babadook.
yeah, Australian, I believe.
Oh, that's why I heard about it.
Yeah, the thing is, I was watching someone who sort of has the same viewpoint of me on horror. Like, I don't like how gore porn or whatever they're calling it, like how that sort of jump scares are overshadowing the horror genre. And so that's why I checked this out, because it was supposed to be, the good old-fashioned horror. That's pretty good.
I think what the problem is that a lot of people expect when they hear horror, they expect to see the basic Freddy, Michael Myers, Chucky type of horror, and it's not the case. First off, horror has branched out more better than what it was a few years ago. It's not the same as what it was. Horror was on its way out. Horror was on the verge of extinction. The only way you can get good horror, surprisingly, was direct to video. And the only reason why is that because Hollywood simply wasn't investing in horror. And they made so many mistakes now with horror that now they're spreading it out more better. They still got problems, but they're spreading it out. Perfect example is the fact is, and I'll give you the three things they did totally wrong with horror in the 80s, which they have not done too much in the 90s, but they're still somewhat in that trap for all the many different reasons. One, they relied too many times on a certain amount of franchise where if it wasn't that franchise, no matter what other horror film came in, it had a 50-50 chance that it would not make its money. Freddy and Jason was the two dominants of the horror genre in the 80s. There was no denying about that. People talked about them like they were just like some company they saw the latest episode of Batman back then. Back then, it was that deep. Two, and this was my turn off. Having these horror films have these actors play like teenagers. I'm like, come on, you're not 16, you're 35.
That seems the whole. Obviously, adults playing teens seemed to be sort of a thing of its time, expanding beyond the horror genre.
And the problem with it is that it didn't give. First of all, teenagers didn't act like what they were showing in the film, not the way that they were produced. It sent a very bad negative message, and people were saying about it. Hey, look, this is, this is not how we act. You're giving us a stigma that we shouldn't be getting, and it was a very big problem until about I think about the mid '90s when Final Destination, they were not, they were pretty much seniors. So that's the first one.
No, this is a collection of all 5.
No, so you got all 5 films, but that was a smartly well done film. Others like Jason had a pattern. Jason had an easy pattern. You can tell who's going to live for Jason. It was no way not to spot that. All you need to do is look at who cursed the most. All you need to do is who's doing the most drugs. All you need to know who's sleeping with each other. They're the ones going to get the bucket.
Yeah, the first Final Destination film had an actual survivor, but then come the sequels, everyone dies. But I could get more into my feelings on the Final Destination franchise and how it evolved. I got into it relatively recently. I'm actually going to finally finish up my review of the fourth film, probably within a week or so.
But that's the whole point. Horror has gotten this stigma of if you're not like what Freddy is or Michael Myers is, which by the way they were a mixed genre themselves. They were considered horror / slasher films. They were mostly considered slasher films by many people because of the graphic nature of the film, and rightfully so. Friday the 13th, that people don't know a lot, had come close to becoming X-rated 7 times with their movie. That's why if you look at the first 4 chapters of Friday the 13th versus that goofy Jason Live, the Final Friday, which made no sense at all. The New Blood was.
I just love whenever a horror film in a franchise goes the final or the last, because I'm like, it's not.
No, they knew it was good. They want to cover all ends. They want to do what Carpenter wanted to do with Halloween. Halloween 3, surprisingly, if you look at the history, almost didn't get recognized by the producers because it wasn't like what they expected. And that's the problem when you have Mike Myers as your main character, the main villain. You can't just say, okay, this is Halloween 3 and don't have the main villain there. The same thing with Friday the 13th. Once Jason came into the mix, that was it. It was over. You can't put nobody else there, which they tried to do with The New Beginning. But you saw the goofiness that would happen. You saw how, because Halloween was a very smart, clever film. Well done, well written, well directed.
Original first and second Halloween film, so.
Yeah, you won't be disappointed. You'll like it.
I know.
And then they made The Return of Michael Myers, which was boring and had none of the charm. The Curse of Michael Myers, Revenge of Michael Myers, The Curse of Michael Myers, and then you had Halloween Storm Busta Rhymes. Do the math. But that was not a coincidence, though. That was not something that was done. Some of them were actually planned to be that way. Like I said, Jason came very, very, very close to becoming X-rated because of the graphic, violent nature of the film. That's why when you see Jason Live, and all you do is compare Friday the 13th from 1 to what name? I mean, could give you 5 from 1 to 5 versus Jason from 6 all the way to Jason X. And you tell them, and you can see the big difference. And I don't, and to me, that new one from Michael Bay, even though he didn't direct it, it still had his prints on it. It's pretty much a throwback to the first 3 films, only he had no script and no life to it. And then we get to Freddy. Same thing with Freddy. Freddy was a very dark film that he wanted to end with the first film. He didn't want to move any, he didn't want to do no sequels to it, but they did the sequels. And 5 was the one that really almost got the X-rated brand because there's a whole lot of stuff they had to rewrite because it was so dark, so violent that they didn't think R was enough. So a lot of times people want the horror R. I have no problem with that. There are a lot of films that was released over the past few years that have gotten that horror R, but they have to walk a thin line. And they're Hollywood not saying we can still make money by showing more of not the horror that we used to, but more of the visual dispense of what may happen, what's going to happen, is anything that's going to happen. Because you tell me, if you tell me, I'll be straight up with you. If you tell me that Paranormal Activity was a horror film, I'll be laughing at you.
No, the thing is, I don't judge. What should be classified as a horror film as something that scares me, but it's what it was intended to do. And that's how you really judge if a film has succeeded or failed. You go, okay, it's trying to be a horror film. Does it succeed as a horror film? And if it doesn't, it was a bad horror film. It is a horror film, but I hate found footage films because 9 out of 10 times it's like, wait, nothing's happening. Something happened.
But this is the thing, though.
I need to be heavily drunk to find them amazing.
The thing, many people will not classify Paranormal Activity, even Blair Witch System, as a genuine horror film. They'll just look at it as a found footage film. But
that was how it was shot. But it has evil demon spirits. So no matter how boring the film is, demons are horror.
And I think that's the big issue here. I think the issue is too many people see horror as just one genre. It's not just one genre. Even though it's found footage, there is something there. Like I said, I didn't like Blair Witch Project, but I can understand why.
High five. That's good.
But I can understand why people were scared of this movie.
I was scared of it, but I was also extremely bored at the same time.
Well, the acting was not great.
What acting?
But I can understand. I'll rest my case. But I can understand why that kind of atmosphere could scare someone like that. Like, I don't understand what the big deal Paranormal Activity is, and frankly, I think they're doing a good job killing their own franchise. But
I think the only Paranormal Activity movie I really watched all the way through, and I didn't really pay attention what was on screen most of the time, was the mockbuster of it. the Asylum's Paranormal Activity thing. So that's still, and that gave me as much amusement as the real Paranormal Activity series, which was amusement.
but like I said, again, a lot of people will not categorize these films as horror because to them they say, okay, it doesn't follow the same pattern, doesn't follow the same rules. It's a found footage film. Why should we put it as horror film? Well, again, that's a good question. Why should it? Well, we have to ask ourselves what's in it and what's your reaction. And like I said, it's not sinister. Something that you get a reaction, you get a horror feeling. Like I said, like there are films that was comedy that was horror. Abbott and Costello did a lot of horror elements to their films. I'm a big Abbott and Costello fan, but they had a lot of films but they were comedians. Doing Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein or Abbott and Costello Meet the Wolfman, those are horror elements right there. Yet they're doing comedy. You're still getting scared about it. So I really think it's more now. I think that people, I think for more, especially for this genre, I think people need to look at it as okay. There's horror, but there's horror plus something else in it. Like I said, Rock and Horror Picture Show, that's a comedy, but there's also have horror elements in it. But it's still a musical comedy. Some people say it was Sweet Todd. Sweet Todd I didn't like at all, but it's still a horror film, which makes no sense. But they got music in it.
Well, it was originally a musical, I believe. So
Yeah, so and Johnny Depp is good, can sing. I'll give him that. But like I said, there's still horror in it. There's going to be, like I said, there's going to be something for everybody. There's going to be the horror slasher butcher horror films. We're going to have the standard horror films. You know,
Green, the Green Inferno.
Green Inferno.
Yeah,
I think it has
that would
Centipede.
be more the bloodier. Pretty decent film too.
So I think that for one thing, I think the pulse of the problem is, and I think you brought up something else here, and I'll get to that in a second. Is I think that's where I think many people are upset about. When I see where many people want to categorize it, look at the horror, look at the element of horror, look at what the films are coming out, and ask yourself, so is this your style of horror? Like I said, you have a different taste in horror. I have a different taste in horror.
I own a Eli Roth film on DVD. I would have gotten the Blu-ray, but it didn't really have bonus features that I would be like, oh my god, now I have to. So I don't mind gory stuff, but at the same time, I prefer more atmospheric horror.
And you bring up a good point. There are also fans that like the gore. That's fine. There's different type of horror for every different folks. Right now, from what we're seeing, Hollywood is pushing that PG-13 horror. They still bring the R-rated ones, but right now what we're seeing is more towards the middle ground where PG-13 is more marketable. I don't agree with it, but so be it. I think it's a matter of just finding a taste, and most importantly, finding the right outlet to know where these films are coming out and with. And I think that's the whole thing. Horror right now is, to me, is necessary for horror to evolve, because you just can't have one genre and expect that genre to stay relevant in today's movie market. Because if you think it's going to stay relevant in that one movie market, it's going to go on the verge of extinction like it did in the 80s, or it will come out in various few forms because Hollywood again, and that's just how it is. Keep in mind, there's tons of horror, different type of horror for everybody else. It's just a matter of looking for it. There used to be a channel that was dedicated to horror. I don't know if they're still around. But there used to be a channel you can actually get on television, not even on cable, but on actual television. You just I forgot the channel of it, that actually dedicated to different type of horrors that came out during different times of the day. Nothing but horror.
Okay, I consider Chillix or something.
I gotta look at that channel again because I know there's a channel that.
I know too, because I seen it before, and I was just like, woo!
Yeah, so. But I think as for sci-fi, I think the problem more with sci-fi is the fact is they're trying to be a little bit everything. I think they
science fiction can be everything. That's the thing about science fiction. I think that might possibly be why I like the genre so much, is that there is so much in it. And what I hate is when people think that sci-fi is only like aliens and spaceships, and like, no. It's actually not. It actually encompasses much more than that. And it can actually be an extremely hard genre to classify because of how expansive it is and how it can go into other genres and mix and match. And it's like, it can be, I think probably, if not the most, it's definitely one of the most hardest to actually categorize because of that fact.
Well, I think the thing about it is that sci-fi or sci-fi, I gotta find out what they call themselves nowadays, has tried to become that multi-channel. Like I said, I think the moment they start showing Freddy in Nightmare on Elm Street is when they said,
I
"Come on
actually
now."
do like when they show a bunch of different horror films, like during the afternoon, and then watching because I'm like, I'm stuck here now.
Well, I think that's the whole thing. I think that to me, if you're gonna show more than just sci-fi or not a hybrid of what sci-fi is, because you're right, it could be anything. Then you need to have a channel name that reflects that. If people came to see sci-fi, they do expect some sci-fi element in it. Um, but again, that's just my opinion on that. You any last word before we move on? Because we definitely got to talk about that Ghostbusters thing, and you got to check out the trailer.
I
You
don't.
have to check that trailer
I
out.
don't have to do
But did
shit.
you?
We never. I don't have to do that. Anyways, with um, as Soma by Frictional Games is I would classify it. Goddamn, it's science fiction, a mix of science fiction and horror basically, and there's a little philosophy pushed in there. It's just science. Yes, Soma is probably my favorite sci-fi / horror game right now because it's one of those games where you can talk about it so much and it's a nice. God damn. The thing is, it's one of those games I don't really want to give anything away to people who haven't watched a let's play of it or haven't played it themselves because there are definitely twists and turns around there that if you spoil it, it's I think ruins some of the suspense because it's also a little bit of mystery of what's really going on.
And that's the thing. Again, you have your style of your horror, which is fun, campy, and sometimes suspenseful. You like the visual.
I
Other people like the gore.
I think I did like really all of it. It's just, I sometimes like one element of it more than the other at times.
I think the only one I probably will have a problem watching is the shock horror.
That can be nice from time to time, but that's definitely on my.
Nice from time to time.
Yeah, it's like.
I Spit on Your Grave kind of horror.
I mean, fucking God, I need to watch all the Saw movies, and I own this, so sometimes I do. Yeah, it's like it's a very small. I don't usually go for this type of horror, but if I said I don't enjoy it from time to time, my only problem is when that's the majority of what I see when it's a problem. It's like I can take it every now and again. I don't know.
So here's my last thing about the film. I'd like to know about this. How would you categorize Alien?
Sci-fi, horror, mystery, suspense. Never mystery. No, not mystery. Sci-fi, horror, and suspense. Because it's really horror. It's horror because you're like just. Well, if you've seen the movie, you know how. It didn't really scare me that much, but still, it was there, and it's sci-fi because you have Alien in the title. Then it's sort of suspenseful just because you're. What's going to happen? You're like all in this little. Fuck! I would not like to be in that situation. I'm sorry. I had a point there, and then I was like, fuck.
Well, I guess you're happy not in the Ghostbusters situation right now. They're just getting bad or worse. You didn't see the trailer.
Okay, I'm going to make a lot of people angry, so send all your hate mail to Jocker Lee. I don't really care about Ghostbusters, so I don't really care about the reboot.
Well, listen, I'm going to say this again. I seen the trailer. They're not promoting this well. I mean, the more you see it, the more it's very clear that it's pretty much a remake of a movie that I should be seeing instead of going and pay money to see. I've seen this already. But man, oh man, there are people getting attacked not because they didn't like the trailer, because they already said that they're going to boycott it. They're not going to see it because to them, it's just not Ghostbusters the way they expected
There's
it.
a difference between saying I'm going to boycott something because I don't really have faith in it, and something else entirely when it's like I really like I love the original, and so I'm not going to see this one. But boycotts
Well,
are something different. Boycotts definitely has a much different connotation than I'm just not going to see it.
they
It really
make it
makes much
very
more of an impact when you say boycotting over I'm just not going to see it.
well. Basically, they're saying they're not going to give their hard-earned money to see something that they can go back and see in the first films. They're not getting be anything original, and they said a lot of it's being forced. A lot of stuff they already seen. They're not really being serious with the franchise. This was James Vaughn's opinion. I've seen his feelings on it. I have no problem with what he's doing. He's not the only one that's doing it, but he's getting hit unfairly because they're accusing him of being a sexist for it. How? I don't know.
Oh God, I'll just let you speak some more on that.
I'm like, seriously, because the guy don't want to see it. He's
No,
not the only one.
the thing is, because it's an all-woman cast, it's like if you don't like the film, it has to be because you're a sexist take, and because you don't like the women cast. It can't possibly be because you don't like reboots. I spend
First of
way
all,
too much time.
here's the thing. I'll say it like it is. All right. One, the reason why people can't have a problem is because the way the trailer is built. The trailer, I don't care. Trailers don't always represent the film what it is. I will say that. Sometimes what you see in the trailer is not going to be what reflects in the movie. But the trailer alone has not done a great job. Even some of the actors themselves said they dropped the ball on certain things they should have done. First of all, they made it sound like this was a continuation when it wasn't in the first trailer. And here, you're basically giving very little hope. It's a better trailer. This is going to be a good movie. It just feels like they're not, there's no originality within this first film. They're just basically showing you what they showing you the first film over again. Many people complain about Star Wars being a beat for beat remake, which is not. This here is considered, to me, this is was a beat to beat remake because I'm seeing exactly what I've seen in the first film. The only difference is it's toned down to where it's hitting a certain general audience. I don't have a problem with that. But the problem when I feel that this film is not doing anything that is original, and and I'm gonna be very straight up. Maybe these actresses were funny in their own way. I got no beef against Melissa McCarthy. I don't know how. I mean, I haven't seen a TV show. I haven't seen any of her movies. I say she's funny or not funny. She's just not appealing to me for some reason. That's just it. But when you have a trailer, and I don't laugh at your trailer, and I'm catching things I've already seen in the film, like the ghost that took the place of Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, that's a problem.
Wait, someone replaced Marshmallow Man?
Yeah, the Ghostbusters logo.
Oh, the logo.
Yeah, he just got a bow tie.
I'm really out of the loop. As I said, I don't really care.
Yeah, but that's just it. So maybe it's wrong. I'm gonna do a video on it because I think it's about time. But man, I haven't a ball seeing these people just finding. First of all, I'm not even doing a video because of what I like or didn't like. I'm doing a video because of the way people are reacting towards a movie we haven't seen yet. It's hilarious to me. You got people from all sides taking sides on this issue, and the issue hits not even relevant because of the movie. A movie that may or may not be good once the film finally come out. These days. And you don't care.
I don't care. This is. I know people might be mad, but the thing is, I'm just really glad I can view this as an outsider. Like, well, I'm glad I'm not part of that drama.
It's drama because then people believe that it's only because of the negative. It's only because people see, oh, woman cast. Look, I said like this. I question. I wasn't mad about the woman cast, but I questioned what Sony was doing. And I felt Sony in the studios really are just banking on a one demographic, and that's it.
I didn't mind an all-woman cast or why it was there. I'm just like, okay, they're posting more female, led movies, and it's like that's okay. To me, like if you have to force it near the beginning, okay, but I do agree that it really should have been a sequel, to the second movie, and they should have tied in that way. So to some people, all woman cast, and plus none of the original Ghostbusters being there would be maybe a deal breaker, and so having a sequel instead of a reboot could have really softened the blow.
Yes, it could have. But then again, they wasn't thinking about that. They really was.
Obviously.
But they get very, very hurt. Nobody's really feeling what they're doing right now. But again, maybe the movie will surprise people. Maybe it will surprise a lot of people and how they will do it. I mean, this is something that may shock everyone, both fans and critics. But right now, as it looks, yeah, it's not. Nobody's really feeling it right now. It's the most hated thriller in all of YouTube right now. It has more. I mean, I've never seen a negative. I've never seen anybody thumb down a trailer in my life. Normally, it's always pretty decent. Oh man. Now let's get to the final thing, and we ain't gonna take too much long on this. You must be happy as joy to see what's going on in North Carolina in terms of the backlash they've been getting at. In many ways, they get what they deserve because they pass a law that had no business passing. At the same time, I am feeling the workers of these arenas, of these places that have supposedly big sporting events, because they're feeling it right now. All right, they're getting canceled conscious. Um, places that supposed to be booked for the book because of a law, and they're losing money now.
Yeah,
And
the thing is, even if you had some moral objections over it, you should definitely, when you're looking at laws, you have to be focusing on the bigger picture. And one of those bigger pictures is the money. And like, how much money will we lose if this happens?
now to them, they're gonna have to. They got guys who are. I'm sorry, it's been taken by extremists, and they're not looking at that picture. They're looking at their own religious moral views. It's hurting that state.
The
It's
thing
hurting that
about
state very, very badly.
the thinking about being successful is you sometimes have to compromise on issues where you don't want to, and you always have to sort of walk a fine line. And sometimes walking
So
a
this
fine
is
the thing is, like, even like the moral objection, you have to look at all the bad things that would happen because of it. And
they didn't look
obviously,
at the bad
if
things.
they did not, it's like one little objection should not override the state's economy like
Well,
that.
that's the whole thing. They really are trying to defend this, and it's gonna hurt them. They're going, and the bottom line is they're not gonna win. In the long run, they're gonna lose because they are hurting. They're hurting their bottom line. They're hurting businesses. Effect right now. Nobody's feeling what they're doing. This is obviously all that was passed is a knee-jerk reaction law. They can't get over giving equal rights to all. They have to find ways to discriminate against people, and then now they're paying the price for it. I don't feel in terms of the state way and the way the government is running. I don't feel for them. I feel fine for those who are actually working, who got caught in the crossfire with the mess that their so-called political leaders have put them in. Because it's really them who's doing this, and
Yes.
it's too many Bible belts conservatives who continue to make this thing. And I'm like, did you ever thought about the impact of the economy? Because obviously you didn't. Because if you would, you would have known how stupid this is. How it's going to mess things up. But keep making that same mistake. Keep making the same mistake. Because all we're doing is showing you true colors. You want to know why Trump exists right now? You want to know why Trump is doing the stuff he's doing? All he is a reflection of what other nutballs have been doing all across the board. So if I'm gonna go hate on Trump, I gotta look at every last one of these so-called, leaders who has been doing similar stuff that's what Trump has been saying. Only they've been doing it, they've been putting their stuff to actions, and it's really is. I'm more upset with them than I am with Trump at the moment because They're in power. They're in power. But I'm supposed to be worried about Trump, even though they're the ones who actually have created this political figure in the first place, and he's not even a political figure.
There was definitely people supporting Trump because he was speaking to a group of people. Those group of people didn't suddenly start existing when he started to run. They existed before then.
Exactly. And that's the issue here. That's a problem. That's a huge problem. Well, I'm not gonna hold on too much longer about this because I know you got a blogging to do.
I like post. Now I'm trying to get Saturday and Sundays only when I feel like, not stress myself like during the week, of which when I'm much more, I'd be much more concerned. So all I have, definitely planned is later on tonight, Game of Thrones, and I will be live tweeting, doing my version of live tweeting probably around 12:30, 1 o'clock. My Twitter is @Jashikins, so, and then I have a little Pokemon Journal post to do finally.
That's great. You did your honorable mentions without actually going deep into it.
I'm sorry, it's just when I do the live tweeting, it's like I've seen some people actually, favorite and retweet. So, if you wanted to join in on the fun, that's the only reason I brought that up. Because for some reason, people like the comments I make.
Very interesting. Yeah, very interesting. So right now, I'm going to leave it at that. On our next show, we'll be discussing the spin-offs that didn't last long. These are spin-offs that were good but didn't last long on TV, or spin-off that was so bad that they didn't even last a day. These are spin-offs that can go all the way from the 80s all the way to now. For instance, CSI Cyber is now declared the lowest, or considered the worst of the CSI franchise, because it only lasted two seasons. Didn't go anywhere past it, and pretty much end a long decade. So we'll talk about that. At least I'll talk about it. I know Josh can got some couple of shows she's seen as spin-offs that didn't do too well, or actually done good but didn't last long on TV, whether it's because of budgeting or not a high view. So we're gonna be talking about spin-offs, and pretty much the original show that it came from and the spin-off, as well as the most epic of them all. And I know exactly what I'm gonna be talking about from there. So,
what's the most epic spin-off? Please tell us.
When you have all three shows or all two shows crossing over to do one episode, that's an ultimate spin-off. That's the ultimate crossover. So we'll talk about that. So that's next time. All right. So guys, you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy the rest of your night. And until next time, as always, you'll find this show on Mirrorstein Publishing channel. You can also look for this show at MaddoxExpression.com. Also, if Josh can, I'm assuming she has it on her Twitter feed as well. So give it a check out.
On my Twitter feed, I put it on my Facebook page. This latest episode.
Like I said,
which means after I do my, promotions tomorrow morning, which I only do Mondays to Fridays, so you people have 2 days of not being flooded, which means probably around 3 or 4 tomorrow afternoon it'll just be way down the page, but it's there right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, there you have it from her. But until next time, guys, this is Jay77 and say take care, be safe, and I'll talk to you soon. Say goodbye, Josh, because I know you gotta go.
No, I don't have to, but goodbye.